Okay, the second person to be honored this evening is Roland Jugandi. I understand that Roland is a very quiet person, but that we should not be fooled by his quiet demeanor. He's very witty, he has an astute sense of humor, he is what you would call a true gentleman, although he's very down to earth and easygoing, and he also loves to travel. I will now call on Joanne to speak to Roland, who's been an electronics teacher for 25 years.
Good evening, everyone. I am indeed quite relaxed this evening. Probably a little too relaxed because thank you, Ron, for being there. Ron and I have not rehearsed anything, so fortunately for this first presentation, which is the wrong one, there were only a few slides anyway. I did it. It's my fault. I put the wrong copy there, so. But that should intrigue you. It should be a picture of Roland's face with students, but anyway. Thank you, Deborah. It's really good to see you. I think you're doing a wonderful job tonight. Roland is a bit of an enigma. As Deborah said, he is a very shy and unassuming person. He's not one to seek out nor enjoy the limelight. And it would be easy for someone who does not know him better to assume that Roland is just an ordinary guy. But he's anything but ordinary. When I first heard that he was being recognized this evening and he was not going to ask anyone to come up here on the stage and talk about him, I wasn't surprised. It did sound like him, and normally I'd be the first person to honor someone's request like that. But Roland, I'm sorry, tonight it's different. I just couldn't let that happen. So Leanne Johnston and I put our heads together and we came up with a few things to say. Just parenthetically, I am not able to see Roland's face. He's crouching down behind his beautiful wife. Okay, first, a short biography. I hope what I'm about to say is mostly true because I've gotten these facts from conversations with him and from his personal website. Roland's parents left Estonia after World War II. They left because most of their family members were lost during the war. So after spending some time in England, they resettled in Canada, where Roland was born. He grew up in Winnipeg with his two brothers and one sister. He attended Manitoba Institute of Technology, which is now known as Red River College. His final project was called Design Considerations for a Portable Proton-Free Precessor Magnetometer. And I think it said he graduated first in his class. After that, he worked at the physics department at the University of the University of Winnipeg, on nuclear instrumentation, including a pulsed nuclear magnetic resonance spectrometer, and he helped to build a sub-pico nuclear discriminator from a design developed at the Pinawa nuclear reactor site. After that, he moved on to Saskatoon, and he worked for SED Systems, where he was part of the payload engineering division. Payload as in rockets. So it could be said that Roland is indeed a rocket scientist. From there, he moved on to Lakehead University, where he took an engineering degree in 2 years. How do you do that, you may ask? Well, he recently told me he was in a hurry, so he took as many courses as he could do. And timetable conflicts prevented him from attending all the classes, so he just read his textbooks and took his exams. By the way, he said all this not in any way bragging about himself, his intelligence, which is extraordinary, his work ethic, which is extraordinary, but just to make a point in our discussion of attendance issues here at Heritage. He said attendance isn't always necessary, so apparently not in his case. And his final job before coming to Heritage was to work at Bell Canada and Nortel Networks combined group called Bell Northern Research. I really don't know what he did there. I got the impression, though, that he invented the cell phone, but I'm not sure if that's true. I do know that it left him with somewhat of a bad taste in his mouth, which he won't hesitate to share with you if you ask the right questions. But Nortel's loss is certainly Heritage College's gain. He came to Heritage in 1984, and he has been here ever since. Now, if you think about electrical engineering in 1984, pre-PC, and realize that today he teaches wireless communication, you can see that Roland has kept pace with all of the technology on his own, well, he has a very active mind. Most recently, we've had the pleasure of working closely with him over the past few years on the revision to the electronics program. He was the lead on that project, and he put in many, many long hours preparing materials, working with the department, and taking the program, the ministerial program circa 1995, and bringing it up to date. He is clearly devoted to teaching and his students, and as his retirement is on his horizon, he is ready to leave a legacy at Heritage, which is a strong program from which students can successfully enter the next phase of their lives. Roland is an accomplished electrical engineer who's embraced the current student-centered program and competency-based approach of CEGEP level teaching. He's been a leader in the college in integrating e-based tools in his teaching and his program materials. Moodle coursework and web pages seem to flow out of him like air. His mind is rarely inactive. Intrigued by the potential of the web, he's currently searching for a way to work collaboratively in real time with other Anglophone CEGEP electronic technology programs. He feels that this could greatly benefit our students, preparing them further for either the workplace or advanced education. But no recap of Roland would be complete without at least a mention of his sense of humor. What sense of humor, some of you may ask? My first encounter with it was in June 2000. I'd been on the job for about 1 week. And I met with the electronics department regarding some issues they had. And I think that my friend Kathy Lozone sent me into that ambush. But I was new. I wanted to impress everyone with my friendly self, so I went. But after about 10 minutes of listening to resentments that were so ancient, they probably could have been carved in stone with the 10 Commandments, I was ready to jump off a bridge. So after I heard what I thought was all of it, I said something like, okay. That was in the past. Now, how can we help you now? What can we do now to change things for you? And Roland, who'd been very quiet for most of that hour, said in his deadpan tone, "Drop a bomb on the college?" So the humor might be an acquired taste, something to get used to. It's something that resides deep within him. And I think it's been there to sustain him through good times and through troubled times. There are his ironic identifications with The Prisoner, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, Don Quixote, and I confess not all of them I get. His deadpan delivery, given with a steady gaze, self-deprecating in nature, his humor can be wickedly funny. But I have gotten used to it, and I have grown to look forward to our encounters, his wisecracks and his passionate, spirited insights. And I'm not the only one. Committee meeting just this week, one member said, "I love Roland." Another said, "He said I seek him out to talk to." So I know that Leanne and I are not alone in sending out this message. We love you, Roland, and we wouldn't change you for the world.
Well, I don't know what to say after all that, except that 25 years ago I had an epiphany, and I made two good decisions. Some might say they're the last good decisions I ever made. But the first was to marry Nancy, my wife. Best decision I ever made. And the second may come as a surprise for some of you who were here 10 years ago. The second decision was to come to Heritage. You might wonder at that because the last time I was here I mentioned something about being short of like $1 million or something. And then they gave me this nice gold pen, which is the thinnest gold pen I've ever seen. And it wasn't gold, I discovered afterwards. So, well, it's all worked out very well because, you see, my former employer, Bell Northern Research, which was like one of the premier labs in the world, right, a few years ago, was absorbed by Nortel. And of course, Nortel has since disappeared, which means that the pension that I was expecting from them is gone. And it means that had I kept all those shares, I would have enough to wallpaper all of your bathrooms. So I'm really glad to be here because if it wasn't for being here, I would have no job, I'd have no pension, I'd have no income, and my wife and I'd be living in a cardboard box under the Jockvale Bridge. Now, I should like to mention that I'm very pleased the way the electronics program has developed over the last few years, and it's going to be a very strong and excellent, excellent program. I'd like to say thanks particularly to the people who made it possible because we came this close to disappearing. We just came so close to disappearing. And of course, Sandra Rickey helped the promotions, and Joanne Werner, of course, for keeping us alive and believing in us, and Leanne Johnson, of course, for helping us to put together the new package, and of course there's Kevin who did all that promotion work, and Sammy. It would have never happened without them, and we wouldn't be here today. And the new program is going to be excellent. The new program is going to be excellent. In fact, it's going to be so good I'm not qualified to teach anything in it. So it's time for me to retire. And we brought on some really good people. We brought on Jane, who's not here this evening, top flight. You should meet this lady. She is top flight. We are so fortunate to get this lady here. And as Sam was here with us this evening, top flight. These people are going to make you proud, and they're going to put Heritage on the map. When other colleges have been struggling to keep these programs alive, those people are going to keep this program going for years. So thank you so much for putting up with me for such a long time.